Hello YouTube, my name's Draco, and this is my depression. As you can see, weighs me down, doesn't leave me alone. So I'm going to be starting a series, probably a weekly series every Monday, about how I handle my depression. And maybe on Saturdays, since depression is depressing, on Saturdays I'll talk about how my week was and what I'm looking forward to and what helped me with my depression. But since this is like the introduction, I guess I'll talk about how my depression started. I would say maybe 3rd grade. Almost as long as I could remember, I've had depression. Only recently did I start having both depression and anxiety. So it's gotten to the point where I feel like I need to get it out of myself and put it somewhere else, which is why I'm doing this series. But so I've had chronic depression for a long time. And what's surprising is that it's changed over that time. It's gotten bigger. I would say high school is when the suicidal parts of it came about. I've attempted suicide once. Basically had suicidal thoughts until about 3 years ago. And then had kind of a high period for a while, for a year or so. And now, this year, since 2006 onward, I'm back in a low period. And it's unlike anything I've ever felt before, because now it's not suicidal thoughts anymore. I don't have those anymore. It's a unhealthy fear, terror really, of death. Like a crippling fear of death. So it's, when you try to think of it logically, I try to think of it logically, it's a mix of knowing eventually that you are going to die and having no idea when. And my anxiety and my depression just amplify it up to unbearable levels. It's so that on top of my already chronic depression. And, most people who deal with this sort of thing are like, okay, well, you should talk to someone. Right, because I can afford to do that. No. Like, most people can't afford to do that. And I'm not even remotely near to most of the people. In fact, I lost my job this year. At the beginning of this year. So that's a whole nother level stacked on top of everything else. I have friends. I worked with my friends, and now I don't see them anymore, really. I know they're still my friends. At least I assume they're still my friends. But it's weird that in this age of communication and ease of access and everything, I barely hear from them. So that's something. That's another level of it. So I'm not going to try to make these too long because A, I have to save things for other weeks, and B, I have to post them, make them digestible, really, and just try to get as much in as possible and still have time to do things that will help me deal with my depression. So, if you're listening to this, thank you. Talking about my depression isn't something I want to get famous for, so don't have to like or comment, but if you are dealing with depression, I would highly recommend talking about it. Not for anyone else's sake, but for your own. Even if it's talking to a cat. The thing about depression is you can't depend on anyone else to help you through it. I'm lucky enough I have someone I can depend on to help me through it, but that's not guaranteed that's a very rare case. Because if someone cares about you who doesn't have depression and doesn't understand it, they will not understand how it affects everything, how you think, how much energy you have, how you feel, the minor pains and aches that are just out of nowhere, the fatigue that's out of nowhere, and just the mental state that you're in. And then, on the opposite side of that, those who have depression and understand it are dealing with their own depression and probably don't have what it takes to help you deal with yours. Unless, of course, they love you something fierce, which is my case. I have a girlfriend who has her own things to deal with, and we help each other. And that is a very rare and very lucky thing for me. So, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for listening. This is kind of the introduction. I'll get into more detail in later episodes. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.